You're traveling through another dimension, a dimension not only of sight and of sound, but of mind. A journey into a wondrous land whose boundaries are that of the imagination. There's a signpost up ahead. Your next stop, the narrow mind.
Welcome to the Atheist Hour. This is Dustin Segers trying to fill in for Pastor Gene Cook. We got some technical difficulties going on at this time, but we're going to get it all under control. By the way, if you're from California, God bless you. I don't know what you've been doing the whole time you've been living here, but I say God bless you because you got to have a tremendous amount of patience given by the Holy Spirit to control the road rage that can develop from driving around in this traffic. You people are crazy. What's wrong with you guys? You guys are going 65 miles an hour and are on each other's bumper. Of course, I was doing it too, but I think my wife's going to have a stomach ulcer after that. But either way, we are working on some microphone problems right now, trying to get it going, get it working, get it moving. Now, I had Gene on Truth Talk Live last week, and we were talking about presuppositional apologetics and reaching out to atheists, to cultists, so on and so forth. And for those of you that are listening who are either atheists or believers, some of you were able to listen to that. Those of you that were on the East Coast, we had him on Truth Talk Live, which is a show that's syndicated primarily on the southeastern area of the United States. But we talked about different things. We talked about the antithesis, which is the separation of the people of God, the children of God versus the children of the devil. And we talked about how that presuppositional apologetics seeks to press that issue. And Gene made mention of the fact that when he is seeking to share the gospel with someone, whether a cultist or an atheist or a skeptic or agnostic, that basically his apologetic method is, Jesus loves me, this I know, for the Bible tells me so. And now, there's a lot of people laughing at that right now. But really, that's what it comes down to. It comes down to the point that God loves people. He has chosen to set His special saving love and grace on people throughout history, and He's chosen to do that. And it's really a simple message of God loves people. He sets His love upon them salvifically. And it's also important to note, too, that God in His love, also in His common grace, also withholds His wrath from the unbeliever. And we talked about at the show last time where I had Gene on, I was interviewing him about his method. And we talked about Romans chapter 1, how the wrath of God is being revealed from heaven. And the fact that the Greek text teaches here, I made mention of the fact that the Greek text actually says that the wrath of God is continually being revealed from heaven against all ungodliness and unrighteousness of men who suppress the truth in unrighteousness. And we talked about the self-deception of the unbeliever. You're here.
I'm here.
Are you on?
I'm on. Yeah, I'm on.
Okay, good.
Can you hear me? You can't hear me as loud as
I can't hear you, but I can't hear myself at all.
You can't hear yourself at all?
Yeah, not at all.
Okay. Well, you keep talking.
I'll keep talking. I'm good at that. I'm a pastor, and it's easy for me to talk. And yes, I do like to hear myself talk, but sorry about that. Some of you probably get tired of hearing me talk, those of you that live on the East Coast. But anyways, we're talking about the self-deception of the unbeliever. If you're listening tonight and you are an unbeliever, we don't say this in a pejorative sense, but you are self-deceived. You have suppressed the truth in unrighteousness because God in His Word says that you know that God exists. You may not have a firm grasp of who God is, obviously. You may not understand all the in and out workings of the triune nature of God, your relationship to that, but nevertheless, you know that God exists. I used to be an atheist, so I can relate a certain degree to that. It's been a long time. It's been a good 11 years now, so I'm kind of out of that type of thinking, but I do appreciate some of the thinking that takes place within atheism. There's some sharp cookies. I think of Carl Sagan. I think of some other people who wrote some really good books. I think of Sagan's book, A Demon-Haunted World. I thought that was very good. And in that book, Satan attacked Satan. Sagan, you can tell I'm tired, just got off a plane about 3 hours ago. But Sagan attacked a lot of the mysticism that's found in Christianity, a lot of the foolishness that's found therein, and rightly so, because as Reformed Christians, we would agree that there is a lot of foolishness, there's a lot of subjectivism that's taking place within the Christian church, and I believe we have Gene on now.
How about now? Can you hear me now?
I can't hear you, except...
Testing 1, 2. Check 1, 2.
I can hear me just a little bit.
I can hear me and you, so... Testing 1, 2. Check 1, 2. Yeah, I can hear both of us. So,
testing 1, 2, 3.
Something's just wrong with your ears.
Yeah, probably is. That's what my wife says.
Man, we were having some serious technical difficulties tonight. Serious technical difficulties.
I jinxed the show.
Well, we found out what the problem was. There's a switch. Go ahead and raise mine up just a little bit. No, on the... We found out what the problem was. The problem was that there's a phantom power switch on the back of the mixer. And the condenser mic has to be using the phantom power. Mm. Well, the phantom power became the phantom because I reached back there and turned it off by accident, thinking that I was turning the power off.
Ah.
But I turned the phantom power off.
Haven't you done that before?
No, not that one.
Okay.
I've done everything else before, though. But not that one.
Didn't you break like the knob off or break the pin off within the machine?
One day I broke off the pins to the mouse, so I couldn't use the computer. That was a problem. But we're good to go now. So I have no idea what you're talking about because I've been back there with my head buried behind the mixer.
I don't know what I'm talking about either. I'm just kind of rambling on, and I'm hoping somebody's willing to listen to it. But I was talking about actually just reviewing some of the stuff we talked about when I brought you on Truth Talk Live last week. And going over some of that.
Well, let's give out the phone number.
Sure.
Our phone number is 1-800-466-1873. Is this your first trip to California, Dustin?
First trip ever out this way.
Okay. Once again, 800-466-1873. Now, a lot of our listeners do live in California. And I talked to Dustin today at about 1:45, and I said, okay, Dustin, right now would be a good time to get on the freeway and come to San Diego because there's going to be some traffic later on. And so I call him up about 30 minutes later, and I said, it's about 2:15, 2:30. I said, where are you at? And he says, I'm at Fuddruckers. And I said, are you still in Van Nuys? He said, yeah. I thought to myself, he just doesn't know. You can't do that in California.
Yeah.
If you need a hamburger, you got to go through the drive-thru.
Okay.
At Jack in the Box.
Well.
Or at In-N-Out. Have you ever been? You've never been to In-N-Out?
I've never been. Is that a California thing?
That's a California thing.
Yeah.
So we're going to In-N-Out together sometime before you go back to where North Kahona. And
North Carolina, brother.
Some part of the world that I've never been to.
That's right. Yeah, that North Carolina, that's a wonderful place to live, and they've got a lot of good Baptist preachers there with their King James Bibles.
That scares me.
Yes.
That scares me.
Yes, brother, it should.
So we're talking about, we're doing the narrow mind, actually. I forgot to tell you. We're not doing the atheist hour. We're doing the narrow mind. So if you're out there and you're listening, you're an atheist, you want to call up and challenge a Christian, right now would be a good time to do it because you got two pastors here that are willing to take your call, take your question, and show you that Christianity is the only logically defensible worldview available to man. Or if you'd like to talk about a theological subject, we've been talking about the relationship between Israel and the church last couple of weeks on the narrow mind, and we're more than willing to continue to talk about that tonight. So if you'd like to discuss that issue, or dispensationalism in general, I've got my little dispensational handbook here. In fact, I recommended this before. Dispensationalism today, yesterday, and tomorrow. Two former insiders look at the beliefs of a very popular theology of today. Both men are former students of Dallas Theological Seminary by Curtis Crenshaw and Grover Gunn. Mm-hmm. So this is an excellent book. I guess I don't have my instant messenger open, do I? We have a caller? Who do we have? Arthur. All right. Let's talk to Arthur, calling from Mountain View. Arthur, welcome to The Narrow Mind.
Yeah, how you doing, Pastor Cook?
Doing good, doing good.
Yeah, well, did they hack your did they hack your website, or what happened, man?
Yeah, my website got hacked today.
Oh, man.
Are you still having trouble hearing through the headset? You can't hear nothing.
I can't hear anything.
Huh. Arthur, I'll tell you what. Talk to Dustin for a minute.
Okay.
Like I said, we're having a lot of technical problems today. But yes, the website did get hacked today. And I didn't get to see it myself because I got a phone call. Did that thing get unplugged? Dustin, you got to plug in the headset.
Where does it go, Gene?
It's hanging off the lamp over there.
Can I break it off like you did?
I wish you were here, Arthur, to see this. He follows the cable from the headset.
I'm going to get Doug to turn me down.
Yeah, he follows the cable from the headset. And then, yeah, that's why I was like, you can't hear anything? He follows the cable for the headset.
Hallelujah, brother, I heard you.
And then he finds out that it's not even plugged in.
Ah.
But go ahead and talk to him for a second.
Okay, yeah.
Keep on talking to me.
Yeah, you're like really loud, and
I'm really loud.
No.
That's usual for me.
No, Pastor Cook is really loud, but
okay.
You're coming in kind of like a normal, good volume.
Good.
Yeah.
So now you had did I understand right? I was listening one time that you said you had a website that was, Arthur, did you say you had a website?
Yeah.
What type of website is it?
Well, it's called gospelanswers1.com.
Okay.
It's hello?
Yeah, tell me about that a little bit.
Basically, it's an apologetics website giving answers to questions, that people might have regarding the Christian faith, the Bible, cult, things like that.
Okay.
And
now,
so,
do you have an interest too in like creation science, or I think I've heard you and Gene kick that around a little bit too on the show before.
Yeah. I've read several books on creation science, intelligent design. So I've gotten somewhat involved in that. As far as keeping up with what's happening, the Dover trial, and
right.
So I was just before I called in, I was actually downloading the actual trial minutes for some discrepancies between, what some people have said happened in the trial, that were there, and what, the documents actually say, and what the judge actually ruled, So, yeah. I mean, it's a lot of work. It's a lot of, pages to plow through, but,
right.
If you want to get at the truth in something, when there's disputes, you have to do the work and read the stuff. So I've been downloading the PDFs.
Now, do you hold to 6-day creationism?
I'm sorry?
Are you a young earth creationist? 6-day young earth?
I wouldn't say young earth creationist, right. Because I'm not one of those who necessarily I don't hold to how old, I don't put on the age of the earth or the universe per se, but I do believe that the days in Genesis are literal, if 24-hour days, they're very, very similar.
Yeah. Well, I when I talk about young earth creationism, I'm not necessarily referring to Archbishop Usher's dates. I'm thinking more along the lines of what you just said, that there's no other way to really take the text of Genesis 1, especially the way Jesus interpreted it. We look at Mark chapter 10, verse 6. Jesus said, "But from the beginning of creation, God made them male and female." Not we had the beginning of creation, and then 3.5 billion years later, God brings Adam and Eve on the scene after all of these billions of years of evolution. But I think Jesus was a young Earth creationist because, he was there, he did the thing, and he set it up. But I kind of agree with you. I don't think we can, say 4004 BC, but in the same sense, I definitely would say that comparatively speaking, there's no question the universe is relatively young.
Okay, I'm back.
He's back.
Can you hear me now?
Yep. I've always been able to hear you.
Yeah, I'm talking to Dustin.
I can hear you great.
He's got his head down, so I don't even know if he could hear me. He didn't move, flinch, look up, anything.
That's radio training.
All right, we're good now. Good to hear from you, Arthur. So, you saw that the website was hacked.
Well, I didn't know what was going on, actually. I mean, I usually check your website just to see, who might be the guest for tonight or, open phones or whatever's going on. So I checked, and I'm looking at the website, I'm like, what is this? And it's like someone put something up in the banner there that says something about PWN, whatever, and a little bit of a name that was an obscenity that I don't want to repeat.
Oh, that was the advertisement for my guest tonight.
Right. Well, brother, thank you for the love.
No. Yeah, some hacker named 286.
187, I think one of them was.
No, I know it was 187. I just wanted to call him 286 to irritate him. You blew it for me, Arthur.
Oh, man.
Arthur's too honest. He's like, no, it was 187. I know it was 187. I figured, the guy it's like tagging, The kid gets a big thrill out of writing on his spray paint on the brick wall. And then, if it was my brick wall, I would just go change it a little bit to some girl's name. And then when he comes by to show his friends, he's all embarrassed. So, yeah, 286, you're doing a great job out there, buddy. It really, it really validates what we're doing here at Unchained Radio. Yeah. That some 12-year-old would spend all this time on his mother's computer trying to hack into our website. I just have one question for you, 187. Does your mother know that you're on her computer while she's at work?
Oops.
Yeah, we got the hole plugged up now. You can't get back in, my friend.
So you found out what the problem was?
Yeah, I called my web administrator, and he said, he figured out how the guy got in and what he did. So
he put up a wall of fire.
I was about to find out, from my web people, some security measures because that's some crazy stuff, man.
Yeah,
and cutting into your website and stuff like that.
Well, I figure it's probably either an atheist or a dispensationalist. I'm just kidding. All my
got the Shepherds Conference coming up.
Dispensational front. Yeah, as a matter of fact.
In fact, I say it's an atheist.
Yeah, I said that tongue in cheek. I'm sure I have as much love for our dispensational brethren as they do for me, if not more. Tomorrow, Dustin and I are going to be attending the Shepherds Conference out in Los Angeles at John MacArthur's church. So
there will be some non-dispensationalists there. It'll be R.C. Sproul, J. Ligon Duncan, a couple other guys that are more covenantal in their understanding.
That's great. Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. So, but John MacArthur's still a dispensationalist as far as we know.
Yeah, very mild, very, very mild.
Good.
But he still teaches and preaches the law. Matter of fact, there was a series in Grace Life Today, which is basically like the adult Sunday school class. And I don't know if you've ever heard Phil Johnson, but he is a fiery preacher.
I've never heard him preach.
Yeah, he's one of their elders, and he runs the Spurgeon Archive that's on the net. And he did a great series refuting the old line dispensationalism type of antinomian approach. But he did and preached it there in the Sunday school class. That Sunday school class runs 850 to 900 people each week.
Wow!
So
that's amazing.
He did it, and they're definitely not your classic Dallas Theological Seminary mainline dispensationalists. They definitely take more of a biblical approach, I think.
Now, we do have actually 2 or 3 students that I know of at Dallas right now that listen to us. I think they disagree with us on that. on that issue, but they still seem to be able to get something out of the program here.
Yeah.
Arthur, good talking to you again, man.
Yeah, good talking to you, too. I'm glad you solved that problem, and the website's up and running.
Yeah, that's the second time it got hacked. The first time it was hacked by some Muslims, or at least
some Muslims.
It was either Muslims or Muslim posers. They wanted us to think that they were Muslims.
I see.
So but both times I didn't get to look at it. And so I guess that's a good thing. By the time I made the phone call and got back to where my computer was, it was already corrected. Thanks to Tony Casparo, my on-the-spot web technician.
Yeah, well, hopefully he can plug up all the holes and keep these guys from getting in.
Yeah, hopefully. Well, I take it as an honor, like I said, that some seventh grader out there missed school to focus on my website. I'm kind of in a silly mood tonight. All right, Arthur, talk to you later. Yeah, I'm looking at some of the people that are on our website right now. I'd like to talk to Godless Geek.
Yeah.
Godless Geek.
I don't know if he'll call in or not.
Or Dead Baptist.
Yeah.
I've seen... No, there's actually a guy named Dead Baptist. And his picture's on my website. In fact, if you come around here.
Sure.
Come around this side for just a second, and I'll show you his picture. It's got kind of an interesting picture because he doesn't look like a Baptist, but he's standing in a graveyard, and it's really an interesting picture here. Where is he, Dead Baptist? I got to look on. Oh, there he is right there. Dundee, Kentucky. There he is right there. He says he's a reformed being. And
a reformed being.
Yeah.
Being?
Being.
Okay.
Like, human being, reformed being.
Mm-hmm.
So not only is he Baptist, but he's reformed, so that's a good thing. But he's got this picture here where he's posing in the graveyard. Not posing, but...
Like bodybuilding posing.
Now, I don't know, maybe that's not him. Maybe one of these tombstones belongs to the Dead Baptist.
John Gill, maybe?
It's possible. But
wrong country.
I'd like to find out what the story is behind the screen name. And like I said, Godless Geek. It's one thing to be a geek, but it's almost like a double curse to be a godless geek. So let me give out our.
He's going to call in after that.
Maybe it's a she.
Well, maybe.
Maybe maybe it's a she.
Maybe in Greek, godless geek is actually feminine.
It could
I've never
be.
never tried to find that in the Greek New Testament.
I know geek goddess is.
Yes, it is. That's some great insight there.
Our phone number is 1-800-466-1873. Talking about whatever is on your mind tonight. I have with me my friend from the left. Actually, it would be the right coast.
Yes.
That's the
very conservative.
The eastern seaboard, North Carolina.
Yeah, the King James is inspired in North Carolina, folks.
Yeah, you've got the King James only people.
Yes,
and they're worshiping right next door to people like Cornelius Brantley of United Methodists.
Absolutely.
That
Cornelius uses the RSV.
RSV.
Do you
live anywhere near Cornelius?
Where's he live? Cornelius, where do you live?
He lives in North Carolina somewhere. I mean, it couldn't be that big.
It's a pretty big state.
Is it?
Yeah.
What's the population now? 90,000?
Probably about 91.
91.
Yeah. It's a lot of woods. So.
Well, I'm flipping through my dispensational book here. Now, I picked this up at a garage sale.
Oops.
And it's great. I mean, it's amazing.
Well, I was on the plane. I was reading some literature from a man who is a Calvinist. And he's not a dispensationalist, but he kind of takes Sproul's position on Romans 11. He believes that there will be a future ingathering of ethnic Jews, and that God is going to work in them and bring them to faith and gather them together once God has brought the full number of the Gentiles in.
Well,
it's interesting Sproul holds that position, being partial preterist.
Well, he's post-millennial.
Is he?
He's post-mill.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
that explains sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's post-mill. But here's the thing. If that was to happen, what would it look like?
This fellow was saying that...
I mean, how would we know?
You wouldn't.
Because they would be coming to Christ.
You would know that.
They would be joining Christian churches. I mean,
it almost begs the question as to, when it says, and all Israel shall be saved, what does the all mean there? Does that mean every single ethnic Jew that's alive?
It couldn't.
No.
It couldn't, because Paul just got done telling us that all Israel is not Israel, or all Israel is not Israel.
Right.
What does he say there in
Romans 9:5, I believe. Nope.
6. But it is not as though the word of God. It is not as though the word of God has failed, for they are not all Israel who are descended from Israel.
Right.
All right, let's go to Marty calling from the happy state of North Carolina. Marty, welcome to the Narrow Mind.
Hello, y'all. How are y'all?
Hello, brother. Good to hear from you tonight. How are you doing there with the old Ernest Angley Hour on the TV?
Well, brother, I'm calling from the state where the King James Version is not only inspired, but if it was good enough for Paul, it's good enough for me.
Yeah, he spoke and used that King James English.
Yeah. Oh, I forgot to say thou and thee. I'm sorry.
That's right. You better pray that way if you're not a real Calvinist.
Could you translate that into Greek for me?
No, I can't. Sorry.
Okay. Well, don't, Pastor Gene, you there?
I'm here.
Yeah, don't be brainwashing our pastor there, okay?
He's doing a great job, Marty. It's working already.
My Lord.
Yeah.
Well, I'm offering up a new prayer for you tonight, so it's my first time out, so we'll see how it works.
Do you guys have Starbucks in North Carolina?
Do I?
Do you have Starbucks in North Carolina?
Yeah, we have Starbucks in North Carolina. We're not off the map, Gene. Come on, man. No, we just got running water in the house, actually, a week ago.
We got to pump in daylight, brother.
Yeah. Our national anthem here, Gene, is, the theme from Deliverance, so.
Well.
That's how we know if there's life in the city, if there's a Starbucks there. So I guess you guys are okay.
We've got a few of those.
Yeah, we just don't have the double latte yet.
They only have one drink, and that's the house blend.
How many syllables did you just put in latte?
I don't know how to spell latte. I'm from North Carolina.
All right.
So what's on your mind tonight?
Well, what was on my mind was just sitting here listening. I was listening to Dustin in the beginning talking about y'all's the interview you had with him last week on Truth Talk.
Yeah,
and,
by the way,
I'd like for y'all to, kind of talk it up a little bit more on the subject where y'all were talking on last week. I enjoyed that conversation. It was very informative, and I learned a lot from it. So I'd like for y'all to talk it up a bit on that.
Yeah. Well, by the way, I got a lot of positive feedback from that. I got a lot of emails to the church saying, "Man, who was that guy?" And I gave the website out, and they want to know who that masked man was. And I said, "Well,
yeah.
There was actually somebody in our church that listened to it, and he said that he learned a lot. Just for the sake of those listening, the MP3 is available for free download. If you go to the homepage there and you click on the little purple iPod, not iPod either. Podcast icon is what I was trying to say. Icon.
Yeah, one of those.
Yeah, one of those.
It's one of those things I used to beam up the Klingons with.
Click on the little purple
Hey,
podcast.
don't be talking about Klingons.
Click on the little purple podcast icon, and you'll go over there, and you can actually download that show for free. It's called Truth Talk. But some people that contacted me said that they liked it too.
Yeah,
it was a wonderful dialogue, and I enjoyed having a chance to interact with y'all during that time as well.
Yeah.
Y'all both I consider very knowledgeable men. Naturally, I'm partial to my pastor, or as
you better be.
Some call you your pastor.
Right.
But, oh, by the way, she sends her love.
God bless her little heart.
Yeah. And I thoroughly enjoy listening to you as well, Gene. When I'm able to, now that you've changed. I know I used to be able to count on at least one show a week, but now that you've moved everything to Tuesday, it's kind of difficult with my work hours. But I do enjoy listening to you and your points and stuff that you make on the Bible, and love your interaction with atheists. Love it.
Well, thank you, brother. Well, let's do that. Let's talk some more about our apologetics, and we'll kind of pick up where Dustin left off while I was having the technical difficulties with my microphone.
Let me ask you this, Marty. What did you like about the conversation the most? What is there something in particular that kind of sparked your interest, or?
I'm trying to remember right before you went off there, Dustin, you had started to hit on something, and I cannot remember the subject. But I was listening, and I was like, man, I wished he could have talked more on that. Do you remember what it was?
I think we were starting to get into the things to look out for in the Unbeliever. We're starting to talk about doing an internal critique.
Signs of the Unbeliever type thing or something?
Right.
Was
some of the kind of things you need to look out for, such as a prejudicial conjecture.
Yeah.
Basically, that's when the unbeliever takes the offensive against Christianity before they become familiar with it. In other words, they argue and say that the Bible is unreliable because we can't trust the text of the Bible. They may have read things by people who have been biased in the field, such as Bart Ehrman, who is indeed a credentialed textual scholar. But on the other hand, they've not read the guys who have been doing textual criticism for 50 years, like Kurt and Barbara Olland, who are evangelicals, and will say that the text of the Bible is reliable. We do have the very words of God, as God had inspired the apostles and prophets to write them. And basically, that would be a prejudicial conjecture. They kind of come to the text of the Bible, or they'll come to any kind of evidence whatsoever and reinterpret that evidence within their own framework of presuppositions or their worldview. So,
right. Yeah, and the conversation we were having also in regards to atheists there, in regards to them when they call in to debate, like with you or with Gene,
right,
or whatever the case may be, the point that they have already presupposed our worldview to even begin the discussion.
Right.
If they hadn't, what are they arguing against?
Yeah. Well,
they've already acknowledged that there is that possibility of a God.
That is the problem. They're assuming. They would not say this.
Of course not.
But we would say that they are assuming a particular portion of the Christian worldview in order to try to argue against the Christian worldview. Now, what they will say, at least in my interactions with them regarding this, is they would say something to the effect of, well, you're assuming our worldview. You're assuming logic. You're assuming the repeatability and predication in the scientific method. You're assuming that induction is going to work the same. And, of course, what they're doing when they do that is they're not really getting what we're saying. So.
Yeah, well, I guess my question to any atheist that would make that argument, one, you've got to get them off this round, what I call chasing the dog's tail about tag. Mm-hmm. They love to get stuck on that argument, and they use it in a manner of saying that we're using tag all the time. Well, in most debates with an atheist, tag is brought up by the atheist.
Right.
So it's kind of that's kind of a boring thing to have to keep dealing with.
But
I think the fact of the matter is when you get into that debate, they're saying, like you said, that you're assuming this, you're assuming that, and all that. But the point of the matter is, what are they assuming if they're not assuming it?
Yeah.
Or did they call in with a blank mind?
Well, Paul says no. Paul says they're suppressing the truth. They know they're doing it. And when you begin to, as Bonson used to say, when you begin to touch and go toward that inner core of their beliefs, you can mess with the periphery. That's why, I have a real problem with evidential apologetics, because when you talk about evidentialism, you're actually messing with the outer web of the belief system rather than getting to the foundation of the belief system and taking one particular aspect of that belief system and pitting it against another foundational aspect of that belief system, and you're essentially causing the worldview to self-destruct on itself. And when you do that, people become very angry very quickly.
Yeah.
Because they realize, well, they may not realize it, but they're starting to see that, you know what, he's trying to take the clothes off the emperor. And we're saying, look, the emperor has no clothes. And the only clothes that the emperor has, in other words, this false worldview, are the clothes that you've taken off of ours and stolen in order to make yours comport with itself. So, Gene?
Well, it all goes back to the straw man thing.
Mm-hmm.
You build it and then knock it down, and
right.
Let's face it. I won't just hang that on atheists alone. We have many Christians that are doing that as well.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And that's discouraging to me as a Christian to see other Christians using this straw man method. We don't need to build a straw man to knock down, but if we're truly studying God's Word.
That's right.
Because God's Word will defend itself. God doesn't need us to defend it. It
Amen.
defends itself. And He allows us to use it as a tool to present the gospel to people that otherwise may not or are not willing to hear it.
That's right. Marty, good talking to you again.
Have a good evening, sir.
You too. Bye-bye.
Good night.
All right, let me give out our phone number once again, 1-800-466-1873. If you'd like to talk to myself or my guest tonight, Dustin Segers, now is your opportunity. Arthur called back. I guess he forgot to ask a question, so let's go to Arthur before we go back to the apologetics discussion. Arthur, are you still there?
Hello?
Yeah, you're on, Arthur.
Yeah, thanks, Pastor Cook. You sound really loud through the phone. Maybe your audio's up higher?
Through the telephone?
Yeah, you're coming in really almost distorted, but maybe not on the show, though.
When you're on hold?
Was I on hold?
No. While you're on hold or now?
No, now.
Okay. Sorry, I don't know what the problem is. I guess when we moved some things around, something got readjusted, so I apologize for that.
No, it's no big deal. I had forgotten to ask you, though. Remember I told you that Reggie Finley, the infidel guy, had mentioned one of your arguments, had mentioned you on his show. Did you ever get that? I sent you an MP3, a little snippet. Did you ever get that?
Yeah, I did. In fact, I'll play it here in a few minutes.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
I'll play it, and then Dustin and I'll discuss it.
Yeah, okay. I thought you might want to analyze that because the guest he had, Tabash, the lawyer, was, they were basically trying to kind of trash the argument, but I think they were trashing a straw man, really. I don't think you were arguing what they were trashing, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
It's very common.
Yeah, so I think so. I just wanted to see if you would clarify yourself on that.
Yeah, I'll take a look at it. I've already listened to it, but I'm going to look for it right now and then possibly pull it up and play it for our audience. Yeah,
okay, that would be great. Have you actually spoken with Reggie on that, or? No,
not yet.
Not yet, okay.
Not yet, but I'm planning on giving him a call.
Oh yeah, he had one of my favorite rabid atheists on this month, the 18th, Richard Dawkins.
Was he? I'd like to listen to some of those shows.
Yeah, I actually recorded that one. I was going to try to call in because I wrote some stuff about him. I took him to task on his logic and his book, The Blind Watchmaker.
Yes.
Because he, was assuming evolution to prove it, and that's, circular reasoning. But,
right.
They had technical difficulties, and it kind of messed me up. But I did manage to record most of the show.
Hey, Arthur, does my voice sound better now?
No.
It sounds better to these guys.
Oh.
Yeah.
As long as it sounds good on the show, I can understand you on this end.
Okay. All right, brother. I'm going to play that clip right now, so thanks for reminding me about that.
Okay.
All right. Let's go to that clip, and And now this is a clip from a discussion with Reggie, the infidel guy, and Eddie Tabash. And I think there's some distortion in the middle of it, but we'll see if we can get it to play.
In a sense, every time that a person worships God, they're really worshiping their own mental conception of what they think God is.
Of course. Right. But some would say, I've heard a good rebuttal to this. I think it was Pastor Gene Cook once said, but Reggie, why would I choose to, if I'm truly just fabricating this or creating a God that I like, then why would I choose the Christian God if it is so evil, as you claim, yada, yada, yada. The concept of hell is a reality to me. Why would I just choose another religion? Humanity can be grounded. It's the oddest mental compartmentalization humans do, to accept all this irrational supernaturalism but yet still try to interact with the real world. It's mind-boggling.
Yeah, but you see, that doesn't you can invent the worst possible God,
right?
And then say, look, nobody would worship him, so he must be real, because otherwise you wouldn't worship him. I mean, remember when William...
Okay, let's stop right there for a second. So, obviously, Reggie thought that my answer was good when Reggie accused me of worshiping a God that was the fabric of my own the product of my own imagination. I told him, look, if I was going to invent a God, I wouldn't invent the Christian God, because the Christian God sends people to hell for violating his law. If I was going to invent a God, I would invent a God more like me, a God that really doesn't care about sin.
Right.
That is
like
guest, me in my natural state.
Like the guest that you had on probably about a month ago, who said, I'm just going to punish those things that I think's wrong, not those things that I want to do.
Right. And so I guess Tabash comes back and says, well, people could invent the cruelest of all gods and worship him and say, well, you see, this God has to be real because he's so cruel. But I think that totally misses the point. And the point is this. Number one, the God of Christianity is a precondition for even defining evil and morality.
From whence cometh your evil? Right.
And number two, where are people that have gods? I like to see these other religions that send people to hell. Every false religion that I know of that's man-made teaches annihilationism or, some type of soul sleep.
Or a works-based salvation that you can work your way into heaven to avoid eternal punishment.
So Christianity comes along and says, look, there's nothing you can do to earn your salvation except believe. And
that's a gift.
Even the ability to believe is something that is the product of the Holy Spirit. It's a response to the work of God in the heart of man. But not only that, if you reject Christ, then you'll simply be held accountable for your own sins and punished accordingly. I certainly wouldn't invent that type of God. So for Eddie Tabash to say, well, I can sit here and invent an evil God and worship him and say that I'm worshiping this God and look how evil is, therefore he must be real. Where are these people? Yeah. They don't exist.
Right.
It's a nice try, Eddie, but it just doesn't fit with reality.
Well, he had made an argument at the beginning of the clip. He said something to the effect that Christians, when they worship, they're actually not, obviously he doesn't believe in God, so he says Christians are worshiping a mental conception that they have of God. It's something they created in their mind. Well, that's just false.
Yeah, it's false.
That's false because we have a standard outside of our minds.
That's right.
That we can form our minds to. So it's another straw man. It's essentially a non-argument because it's not arguing against biblical Christianity. It may be arguing against an idolatrous religion, people that worship totem poles, or people that have a New Age conception of God.
If I became an unbeliever tomorrow, Christianity would still be true.
Right.
Regardless of what I said. Yeah. Because Christianity demonstrates itself to be true and demonstrates itself to be, like I said, a precondition for life as we know it. Yeah. Let's listen to the next comment that he makes, which is quite interesting. Now, if you're just a garden variety atheist and you're listening to this stuff, you're probably saying, "Oh, yeah, that makes a lot of sense, Eddie. That's a great point, Eddie." But if you're a critical thinker guys like Eddie, it just doesn't hold water.
No.
Listen to what Eddie says next.
Lane Craig used to go around saying that, people would not sacrifice their lives for an illusion.
Yes,
so
yes.
Jesus' resurrection must be real because look at all the martyrs. Well, he stopped saying that after September 11th. Because if willingness to die for a belief is evidence that the belief system is true, then fundamentalist Islam is the truest thing on earth now.
Okay, that's it right there. But you see how Eddie creates these straw man arguments. Yeah. First of all, I'm not going to go on record defending William Lane Craig about something he said, because I don't know what he said. But I have heard the argument, and I have used the argument. That and he's got the argument all wrong.
He misformulated that argument.
And you have to wonder if it's intentional.
Yeah. Well, I think that it probably is, because this is a smart guy. Because Christians don't say that just because somebody's willing to die for something they believe in,
it must be true.
That it must be true. That's not the argument. The argument is, why would people die for what they knew to be a lie?
Right, because the disciples were eyewitnesses, the 12 apostles, 11 after Judas departed. They were eyewitnesses to the things that Jesus said and did. And yet they were willing to give their life because they believed and because they witnessed these things, and they believed that he had rose from the dead. They saw the empty tomb. They saw the body that had holes in the side, holes in the hands, and they were willing to give their life. Now, the argument is they would be mentally ill to be willing to give their life for something that they knew to be false. Right. Islam is a different story, or a martyr for a modern-day religion is a different story, because they aren't eyewitnesses. They're deceived based on something that somebody else has told them. And so people are willing to give their lives for all kinds of things that they haven't eyewitnessed based on the testimony of somebody else.
It happens all the time.
So Eddie Tabash, once again, he misses the mark. He reformulates the argument, builds a straw man, attempts to knock it down. Reggie in the background saying, "Oh yeah, that's good, that's true." Hey, they don't say that after 9/11. Well, I'll say it right now. It's post 9/11. You'd have to be a fool to give your life for something that you knew was a lie. And if the apostles were there, they saw, they touched, they either knew that Jesus was who he said he was, or it was all just a big game. It was all just a big sham. They were vying for power. They were starting a new religion. And no, I don't think so.
No. I don't know anybody that would be willing to be
Joseph
boiled.
Smith wouldn't even be willing to give his life for Mormonism.
Right.
He went out shooting.
Now, what's interesting about that is that Peter himself says in 2 Peter chapter 1, verse 16, he said, "For we did not follow cleverly devised tales when we made known to you the power and coming of our Lord Jesus Christ, but we were eyewitnesses of his majesty. For when he received honor and glory from God the Father, such an utterance as this was made to him by the majestic glory, this is my beloved Son, whom I am well pleased." That's talking about on the Mount of Transfiguration. "And we ourselves heard this utterance made from heaven when we were with him on the holy mountain." Now listen to what Peter says here. He says, even though we had that eyewitness, subjective, experience-based testimony, that powerful testimony, he goes on to say, in verse 19, "So we have the prophetic word made more sure, to which you do well to pay attention to as a lamp shining in a dark place until the day dawns and the morning star rises in your hearts." And what Peter is saying here is that even though I had this great eyewitness testimony, that doesn't convert people. Just like Jesus said, if they don't listen to Moses and the prophets, they're not going to believe if somebody rises from the dead. And that's exactly what happened. We looked at Matthew chapter 28 last week on Truth Talk Live, and I pointed out how the text says that a lot of people worshiped Jesus. They recognized him for who he was, but some doubted.
That's right.
So
even Thomas was doubting.
Yes.
And he became a believer.
He did.
But Jesus said, "Blessed are those who believe without seeing."
Right.
All right. Let me give out our phone number once again, 800-466-1873. You can call in live, 800-466-1873. Or you can call us on our local line at 619-793-5180. You're listening to The Narrow Mind. My name is Pastor Gene Cook. I'm the pastor of Covenant Baptist Church in San Diego. If you're looking for a church that teaches the Bible and doesn't tolerate foolishness, how's that for a church plug? If you like to sing a hymn on Sunday morning, come out and visit us. But if you've been in trouble at the church that you're at, you need to work that out before you come visit.
Right. Don't bring your mess to his church.
Right. You need to humble yourself and submit to your pastor.
Yeah.
Pastor Dustin Segers is the pastor of
Shepherd's Fellowship Baptist Church.
Why do I keep wanting to say Shepherd's Chapel?
I have no idea.
Is that guy on TV?
It probably is.
Yeah.
Don't confuse me with him.
Yeah. What's his name? You know who I'm talking about?
T.D. Jakes.
No.
I look just like him.
I forgot what his name is. Shepherd's Chapel.
Must be a local thing.
No, it's not. He's from back east.
Oh.
But you do look a little like T.D. Jakes.
Do I?
You got the same hairstyle.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a good thing I don't have the same theology.
It is a good
Or I
thing.
wouldn't be in this radio studio right now.
You might be, but you'd be on the defense.
Right. Doing a little backpedaling.
Okay, so before we go back to our discussion on apologetics, I want to finish out what we were talking about Romans chapter 11, verses 26 and 27.
Dispensationalism.
So, if my understanding of that passage is that the manner in which all Israel is saved is the grafting into the Gentiles, the fullness of the Gentiles being saved.
Yeah.
In this manner or in this way, all Israel will be saved. But I understand that there are other interpretations, even within Reformed theology. For example, the idea that there will be a massive witnessing and repentance among the Jewish people. But I even wonder, can somebody really for sure know that they're Jewish today? Because, all of the genealogies were destroyed in 70 AD.
Yes, they were. And there were also some copies of those things in Alexandria, Egypt as well.
Oh, were there?
For the Alexandrian Jews. And, of course, that library was burned.
Okay.
So the temple in AD 70 and all the accoutrements that went with it went up in flames.
So if somebody claims to be Jewish, they really don't even know what tribe they're from.
No.
How are they?
Matter of fact, I had a patient, and I asked, because I work in healthcare, I had a patient, I asked him that question. I said, what kind of Jew are you? Do you know which tribe you're from? He said, well, no. He said, it's pretty much impossible to trace that now because, and he mentioned the destruction of the temple in AD 70. He said the records are just destroyed.
Now, so. I have an inquisitive mind. If it's impossible to prove what tribe you're from, then how do you even know you're Jewish?
Yeah.
You'd have to know that you were Jewish by oral tradition, but yet what? It wasn't significant that you belonged to such and such tribe?
Mm-hmm. Especially the Levitical aspect of it.
Yeah, or the tribe of Benjamin or Judah or Reuben. So I guess the only way that you would know is by, looking at their visitor card and trying to determine if they were Jewish. Yeah. I mean, all of a sudden on a Sunday morning, you've got, Freeman and Stein and what are some other Jewish names?
Bolshevik.
That sounds more German.
It's more Polish.
Or Roman, or Russian. Actually.
Russian Jew.
So all of a sudden you've got, Goldstein and
that's right.
Aaronstein and
all the Steens, Bruce Springsteen.
Right.
Yep.
Springsteen and Tabash and all that. You're going through the visitor cards and everybody's saying, I've responded, I've accepted Christ. They've checked that box.
By the way, what does that mean? Come forward and accept Christ.
Yeah, that's a good question.
It needs to be more along the lines of, is he going to accept you?
Mm-hmm. That's the big question.
Yeah.
And I think the Scripture asks that question.
Yeah.
So anyway, I mean, how would you know if this passage in Romans chapter 11 was actually being fulfilled?
It'd be pretty difficult.
You'd have to be a pretty sharp deacon.
That's right. And I know one.
You'd have to be.
We need to get him to call in.
You'd have to be pulling those visitor cards out of the, and then doing the follow-up calling.
I got a guy that can do that.
And saying, hey, Pastor, I think Romans chapter 11, verses 26
being fulfilled.
Is being fulfilled.
As we speak.
So then you call down to the other Baptist church on the other end of town. You ask them, did you notice anything unusual among your visitor cards this week?
Well, it's got to be a dispensational Baptist church, because if not, if it's Reformed Baptist, they're probably going to reinterpret.
Unless they're post-millennial.
Yeah, well, that's true.
Yeah.
Wonderful insights.
Yeah, so I'm just, if they all come to Christ, if
only God would know it.
Only God would know it.
Truly.
So what's all the fuss about?
Yeah. The text says it, and I do lean toward Sproul's view here, but there would be no way to know, Gene, really, truly.
Only God would know.
Yeah, and then because then you would have people trying to predict the second coming of Jesus and say, well, all Israel's been saved. Obviously, the fullness of the Gentiles has been grafted in. Therefore, the deliverer is going to come from Zion.
I
could see, some newspaper eschatology developing.
You just gave me a great idea for a book.
You got it. What are we going to name it?
It's called The 5 Visitor Card Countdown to Armageddon.
Revelation 16:14 is coming your way near a valley near you.
Yeah. So we're talking about what is this?
All kinds of stuff.
North Carolina tonight. North Carolina night. What is this? We got another caller from North Carolina.
Ralph.
Yeah. You know Ralph from North Carolina?
You better watch out with this call, Gene.
Okay. Is he post-mill? Or is he a dispensationalist?
I think he's pan-mill.
I'd rather lock horns with a dispensationalist than a post-mill guy. Let's go to Ralph. Ralph, welcome to the Narrow Mind.
Well, how are you boys doing out there?
We're doing great. How are you, Ralph?
I'm doing fine. This here's Ralph E-Boy from Climax, North Carolina, and I'm calling to ask you a couple of questions.
Okay.
I'm looking here at my library. You got that Segers boy in there with you tonight, don't you?
Yes, sir, I'm here.
He does look rather young, too.
Yeah.
I just shaved before I came, so that helps.
And I haven't shaved in 2.5 days.
You know what? My grandpa always told me, you got somebody with facial hair and no mustache, you don't trust them worth nothing. Look at him. He ain't got no facial hair on his upper lip.
Yeah, he does look a little German.
Ralph, do you have any eyebrows?
Oh, well, let's talk about my...
He got you there, Ralph.
I want to talk about your eyebrows, Ralph.
You got to admit, that's 1 point for the guest.
An internal critique.
I'm so nervous here anyway. I'm kind of incontinent, so you guys got to kind of leave me alone. I'm calling to ask you about my library up here. I hear that man talking about a suppository dictionary every once in a while, and I want to see if these books is okay. I got all my library matched up because they're red. First is my Kenneth Copeland King James only done got wet Bible. That one's all right.
Now, how did that get wet?
Well, at a Copeland crusade just after I got saved, some woman I'm not sure what she did to it.
Okay. All right. Next book.
If it was at a Copeland crusade, you were probably crying on it.
Well, I didn't know
after you wrote the check for your offering.
Yeah. Well, then I got this tropical concordance here. It's red, too. It's got lots of pages. I got the Annals of the World. I done got that for Christmas. That's red, too. It's got a red binding and gold on the edges.
Right.
Then I got Genesis Record, that Henry Morris guy.
Yeah, he's dead now. You know that, right?
I didn't know
that.
Yeah,
I think his mama done died this weekend.
His mama died?
Probably in heaven, too.
Yeah.
Wait a minute. Henry Morris is dead?
He passed away Saturday evening.
Oh, wow.
Yep. He went
this last Saturday?
Yeah, this past Saturday. He went home to be with the Lord.
Well, maybe that's who it was.
Didn't hear about that.
Yeah.
All right. So...
Ralph, you're losing your accent.
What?
You're losing your accent.
Well, I figured talking to you sissies out there on that East Coast, West Coast.
Yeah. Well,
I also got this book here named Decision Making in the Will of God.
Now, who's that by?
That's Gary Friesen. Anyway.
Gary Friesen, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So I got some question here for you.
That's
How come
the
you
only
guys
one.
don't never interview no women folks on there?
Well, we don't believe in women.
Oh, yeah. No, that's not true. I interviewed Kelly Stonerock. The woman
That's right.
That
Now,
woman, yeah.
She may just well be a man. She's a beast. She ain't afraid of nobody.
She made the infidel guy cry on national television.
Absolutely.
I saw that. That guy was a sissy himself. Well,
I can't go there.
here's what I got to say. That preacher you got out there sweats like T.D. Jakes. That's the way he's like T.D. Jakes. He gets preaching so hard he sweats and it rolls right down his neck.
Yep.
That's sick. Do you have a serious question, Ralph?
Yep, I do have a serious question. But I got two more things that I got that ain't so serious. He's got a Bible that's made out of a black heifer. You better ask him to see that Bible while you got him out
I didn't
there.
bring that one with me, sir.
Oh.
Because I was afraid that it would get eaten by Gene's dog. Gene, do you have a dog?
No.
Okay.
No dogs.
Won't get eaten by Gene's dog then.
Okay, well, here's my real question.
MacArthur might steal it.
Y'all work this out. I want to know how important it is to have like-minded churches where you preachers can talk to each other and kind of build each other up and kind of circle around this nation.
Well, puffing each other up is very important.
All right. So y'all build each other up in the faith, and we'll go out here and witness to lost people
Yeah.
That's great.
while you guys are out there vacationing.
Yep.
Vacationing.
Yep. Grow some facial hair, will you?
Who, me?
You want me to grow some again?
That preacher's got to get that mustache back. He looks like somebody that rides around in a horse-drawn carriage or something.
He actually would fit in out here.
I got my West Coast Chopper shirt on, Ralph. I'm wearing it. It's black. I'll fit in perfect. I had my Folkleys on. You know what Folkleys are, right? You have to be careful how you say that, especially on the air.
Yep.
But I had my Folkleys on today in my cool little rental car that we got, and I was doing 80 and a 60 like everybody else. You know, it's kind of following along with the sin of everybody else in California.
Yep.
So
If you drive 65, you'll get ran over in that car.
yeah, you'll get ran over.
All right,
Especially
well,
in that car.
don't you bring none of them fruits and nuts back to North Carolina with you.
Only the ones that are in a bag.
That's right. God bless you. God bless you. God bless you.
God bless you.
All right,
Bye.
Ralph. Take care.
You know, you did ask a good question.
Yeah. How important is it for like-minded churches to fellowship with each other?
Well, I had to come to San Diego, Temecula area, because there's the Greensboro, North Carolina area is an area that is growing and growing and growing. There's a lot of businesses that are planted there, but there's a lot of Word of Faith churches that are there, and I believe Word of Faith is a false gospel. Joyce Meyer and Kenneth Copeland, some of the other Word of Faith adherents teach that in order for you to be born again, you have to believe not only that Jesus died on the cross, but he finished the work of atonement in hell, which, of course, is a false gospel. And we have a lot of churches out there, and the people out there just don't know any better. They're just, sometimes they're nice people, but they're just stupid when it comes to the Bible. And I don't say that in a pejorative way. They just don't know any better, and they need to be.
They haven't been taught.
They haven't been taught. So when we have people come to our church, they've come from Calvary chapels, and I know we've got a lot of those out here. This is kind of where that started. And we've got other churches that are Arminian in their bent, Wesleyan Arminian. They come to our church, and they hear us preaching through Romans chapter 8, Romans 1, Romans 9, Titus 1, Galatians 2 and 3, verse by verse, and they're like, man, what have I been missing all this time? And they're like little kids, little babies sucking on a little bottle. They've been starved. They're Christians. They love the Lord, but they haven't grown.
Yeah, we experience that same thing, and then they become Paedo Baptists and leave.
Right. They arrive.
Yeah, they arrived and they realized that we're not reformed enough.
Right. Yeah.
And then they move on. I say that tongue in cheek. That happens once in a while. But
usually when we get people that come and visit for a while and then leave and go to an OPC church or PCA, they've already been thinking in that area pretty strongly. And there's not too much I can say or do that's going to change their mind.
Yeah. It doesn't. I mean, if you want to, if you think paedobaptism is biblical, then more power to you. Yeah. May God bless the babies.
Yep.
Let me give out our phone number once again. 800-466-8255. 1-800-466-1873. That is toll-free, 1-800-466-1873. You know, it hasn't rained here for months. And then you come down here, and the first day you're here, it's raining. Well, it rained all night last night.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's
you
amazing.
guys must need it.
We did need it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can see it all over your skin. You got that dry, flaky. By the way, folks, send Gene some lotion, some Eucerin or something. He's looking really dry today. He's been out in the desert.
I've been out in the sun all day.
Working hard, working on getting some skin cancer.
Yeah.
So he's going to evolve.
It was raining out there, too.
You know, those solar rays are going to come down, and they're going to affect the DNA in his skin, and he's going to evolve. And, you know,
I think I might already have skin cancer.
So
I don't know.
No telling what he's going to turn into.
All right, let's talk about this
Say it.
Prejudicial. Conjecture. I don't know why I was reading it like that. This occurs when believers take the offensive against Christianity before they have become familiar with it. This is often manifested in three ways. Mm-hmm. Now, we've been talking, we have a Sunday school class at our church. We've been talking about some of the common objections to Christianity. And what are some of the objections that you deal with in Christianity?
One that I typically hear is if it comes from a more kind of an intellectual type person, they've read the Da Vinci Code, became familiar with that, and kind of gone in that direction. So it's kind of a issue of, you know, how can I trust the canon of the Bible? Can I really believe the Bible's the Word of God? That kind of deal. Or most of the stuff I get is, well, how can I really know, you know, that God loves me, or that the gospel message has been preserved? So it's kind of a simpler version of the question that I get from the intelligence, because we have about 5 universities in Greensboro, so we've got some pretty well-read people that come in that are patients and people I just interact with in the ministry. But most of the folks in the church, we don't get those objections, obviously, because I teach and preach against that stuff in the church.
Yeah, we don't get. I'm talking about objections that maybe your lay people run into.
Yeah. If God's so good, why is there evil in the world? Yeah. That kind of thing.
How can the Bible be trusted if it's written by men?
Right.
I know some Christians, and they're messed up. They're really screwed up people. Mm-hmm. Or look at the Crusades that took place, the Inquisition. Right. If that's what Christianity produces,
sure.
I don't want anything with it. But what we find is that
it's prejudicial conjecture.
Yeah, these are just just excuses that prevent them from going any further in their examination of Christianity, or going any further in their understanding of what the Bible actually teaches and what Christians are actually teaching.
Yeah.
We've got somebody named Deacon Fred calling from Ohio.
Deacon Fred calling from Ohio.
Yeah. He has a question about the 144,000.
Okay.
In Revelation. Do you know anybody from Ohio?
I know no one from Ohio.
I think there's actually a real listener named Deacon Fred.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Hello, Deacon Fred.
Yeah, this is the real.
This is the real Deacon Fred. See?
The real Deacon Fred.
I told you.
Wow.
Remember I told you last time we talked, I
that
said...
imposter in North Carolina can...
Yeah.
So...
Hey,
go ahead.
Good evening, guys. I appreciate you, both of you. I want you to know that.
Thank
You're
you.
in my prayers often, everyone who preaches the Word of God faithfully.
Thank you.
I am a Southern Baptist, and I'll be coming to Greensboro in June. And
Yep.
maybe Pastor Dustin there.
Yeah.
I don't know how close he is there. But
our church is located right in the heart of Greensboro, where they're going to be having the SBC at. We're probably about 10 minutes from there. You know, the big fight that they have every year. I'm sorry, convention.
I'm going down there because I'm sort of not. I'm not officially aligned. I'm just a deacon.
Right.
I follow. I'm in the line of the founders. I'm with those guys.
Are you going to get to hear the nice little conversation that Paige Patterson
and
Al Mohler are going to have? Yeah.
And to hear Mark Deaver.
Yeah. At the breakfast. That'd be great. I'm hoping to be there myself.
What I'm running into, I've talked to people, and they want to take Revelations super literal, and I really haven't given much thought to that's not been my focus, to be honest.
Yeah.
But I'm definitely the type of person. I don't believe that there's going to be a rapture. I see Christians suffering now and suffering persecution, and I think we're hiding our head in the sand. I think we're trying to escapism or something instead of just bucking up. But I guess I want some ammunition.
Yeah, well, that was the big problem for me. I never really truly bought into dispensationalism. I went to a dispensational seminary, and never really bought quite into it. And there were two reasons. Number one, this pre-tribulational rapture position. I just could not find that in Scripture. And then number two, this idea that there's this sharp distinction between the physical nation of Israel and the Christians today, and that we cannot in any way, shape, or form, and I heard this in a seminary class from a very educated and intelligent man. He said, we cannot equate in any way the blessings that God promised to Israel to the church. And I said, well, what about Galatians 3:29? For you are Abraham's seed if you are in Christ. And silence. I got complete silence in the class.
Well, I'm getting that too, because if you read, well, you guys know this, but you read through these passages, and there's just huge chunks of Scripture to talk about, the church, the true Israel, and who we are, and how the whole purpose of Christ was to unify, everyone under Him. And I don't see how you can miss it. I know I guess it's by God's grace, but it's just so obvious, and I can't believe I'm talking to guys and they're still holding on to this thing. And I'm like, guys,
be patient.
But the promise is in Christ.
That's
it's right there. Just read it. Yeah. But anyway, I appreciate you guys about the 144,000. My take on that is, we've got guys saying that's a literal 144,000. Mm-hmm. And what are your guys' thoughts on that? Is it like the 1,000s? It's just a greater,
Yeah.
Have you ever done an examination of the actual tribes that are listed there?
No.
They're not the same 12 tribes that are in Genesis.
Right.
Most people don't recognize that.
Yeah.
In fact, one of the tribes is...
Well, Dan, I don't believe Dan is mentioned because of the sin that that the Danites committed.
Which was what, idolatry?
Yes, it was Judges chapter 18, verse 30.
Yeah, Dan is replaced by Manasseh.
Right.
And Ephraim is omitted.
Mm-hmm.
So you've got both Dan and Ephraim are missing from this list. So the other thing, what's interesting is most dispensationalists are not Calvinists, right? But how could God say, if you take a literal interpretation, you'd almost have to be a Calvinist. And this is one of the,
right, that's the problem.
Because you got 12,000 from each tribe. What's the chance of 12,000 accepting Christ on their own free will? Mm-hmm.
All
at the same time.
And becoming these great Jewish evangelists that evangelize the Jewish people.
Jewish Billy Grahams.
Right.
144,000
of them
little
around.
Jewish Billy Grahams.
Right.
Yeah, you've
Oy vey!
You've heard it also. So first of all, I think we need to point out that this isn't the same 12 tribes that are in the book of Genesis, which should cause us to stand back and say, well, why not? If they're different, why would they be different? And I think the reason that they're different is because this is symbolic language. I just think it's symbolic language. I think it's talking about the fulfillment of God's perfect plan for Israel. I think it's referring to both Jew and Gentile here, because the other description of these are that it's been a while since I've looked at this, but I think that they're virgins. Let me see here. And I heard the number. This is reading from Revelation chapter 7, and I heard the number of those who were sealed, 144,000, sealed from every tribe of the sons of Israel. And then there is the list, and it says.
And verse 9 talks about, I looked and behold a great multitude.
Right. So you've got him seeing these 144,000 that are mentioned here, and then he says, and then I turned and I looked. and there was a great multitude. If you just did I remember when I was studying the book of Revelation about 3 or 4 years ago, if you just do a survey of what this language, this phrase, and then I turned and I looked, or I turned and I saw. What's interesting about that?
It sounds like he couldn't count it.
Right.
But they it's totally confusing.
So, in addition to that, it says there's another passage. I think there's 2 passages that mention the 144,000. But one of the passages says that they're all men and they're all virgins. I'm trying to find it. Do you know where it's at, Dustin?
No. I will say...
No, but the late Dr. Vernon McGee was mentioning that very subject today.
Oh, was he really?
Dr. J. Vernon McGee.
He's going through the Bible right now, again, and he's talking about this very subject right through here, and he was talking about those virgins, and that was, his take on it was that there would be so much tribulation that would be the least of men's worries is to get married.
Never heard that take before.
Kind of sounds like 70 AD, doesn't it, almost? I mean, there was so much tribulation that the only ones that really got out were those that were warned by Christ.
Right.
And the majority of Jerusalem was destroyed.
I take when I look at passages like this, I tread very lightly. And the reason is because in biblical prophecy, I was reading today from the same author that I mentioned earlier. It's actually Fred Zaspel, who's a historic premillennialist. And he says that when we come to passages like this, we need to slow down, take our time, and study the Scriptures and look at original languages, look at good commentaries from different points of view, Amill, historic premill, dispensational. And again, you know, I don't want to attack just the dispensationalists. I'm going to the Shepherd's Conference tomorrow, which has, Dr. MacArthur's going to open that. He's an excellent Bible teacher. I recommend his materials. He's what I would call a mild dispensationalist. But I do think that their hermeneutic is problematic for some of the reasons that we've already mentioned. But I do want to, when I go through these passages, I want to walk slowly. I want to take my time, and I haven't taken a position on the 144,000 yet. I'm going to continue to look at it. I'm going to look at a historic premill view. I'm going to look at the amill view, and I'm going to try to go slowly through that. I've been a Christian for 11 years now and came out of atheism. And I have had to forget more junk that I learned the first 3 years of being a Christian and kind of reprogram my mind to think more in a presuppositional fashion and look at the Bible and read it for what it says and look at some of the historic scholarship on these things as opposed to some of the novel things that have popped up within the last 150 years regarding eschatology. So,
well, let me just say, God bless you guys. I will say this: that there's a big, Dr. Ergen Kainer, the Dean of Liberty. You may, if you go over to the Founders blog, you'll see that he's been in some exchanges with Dr. White.
Yes, I've read that exchange, and I think Dr. White. By the way, I want to say kudos for Dr. White. He has done an excellent job representing a fine Christian Reformed Baptist elder, a man who has represented an excellent example of what it means to debate in a vigorous fashion, but yet be kind, be courteous, and represent the truth of the Christian faith. 1 Peter 3:15, do it with gentleness and with respect, and he has really done that. And Dr. Kainer has sadly come back and did some name-calling and some historical revisionism and calling him a hyper-Calvinist. And when he does that, it's sad because that tells me that Dr. Kainer, as intelligent as he is, does not have a firm grasp, a basic elementary grasp of the issues. The guy doesn't understand historic Calvinism.
I'll say this before I leave. Last year, during an evangelism conference, Dr. Piper and Dr. Kainer were on the same stage.
Ooh.
And they were great. I mean, but, Dr. Piper gave an awesome sermon on the providence of God. Mm. And then, for some reason, Dr. Kainer, when he was finished, he took a shot at us by saying, put that in your Calvinistic pipe and smoke. And I thought, these guys just don't get it.
Yeah.
But he's a great preacher, but, he lacks a little bit of, couth.
Yeah, we know.
You guys have a good night.
You too, buddy.
You too, Fred. Thanks for calling. Bye. Yeah, you know what? Why do people hate Calvinism so much?
Here's why.
Tell me why.
Arthur Pink said, if man could ascend God's throne and kill him, he would. And that's exactly what they did to Jesus.
But these are Christians.
Yeah. But they still hate it. And I take Paul's position there in Romans 7. He says, I still struggle with the carnal fleshly nature. I take that as a now, in a now present reality for the Christian. And I think that there's a continual process of transformation of that mind. And if those people aren't sitting under that verse-by-verse expository preaching, they're going to continue to think that way. They're going to continue to hear it the way that they want to hear it. And all you can do for folks like that is just say, man, just look at the Scriptures, take off the rose-colored glasses, with the big A's on them, and just look at the Scriptures. I wasn't convinced of Calvinism because of history or because Calvin taught it. There's a lot of things that Calvin taught I disagree with. A lot. But I believe the doctrines of grace because the Bible clearly teaches them.
Right.
It's that simple.
Yeah, me too. I was talking in our Sunday school class not last week, but I think the week before, and I was explaining how we still have these natural presuppositions when we become Christians. And we carry them over. Because Christianity radically changes our worldview. Yeah. But there are still things that we want to hold on to from the old worldview. Many times, our ideas about God. And so we formulate our ideas about God not based on Scripture because we haven't learned, but we formulate our ideas about God based on what we think God would be like.
Right.
And we kind of begin to work from that center and formulate all of our other Christian theology around that presupposition. And
the warm, fluffy God concept is something
you
that
just
comes
can't
to
do
mind.
it. You can't do it. You have to submit to God's word. And Trinitarian doctrine, I think, is an example of that. I would never be a Trinitarian if I wasn't persuaded that the Scriptures taught it. It would be much easier to try to dismiss it and then to look some brand new Christian in the eye and say that God is 3 in 1.
Right. And then try to explain that.
And then try to explain it. But, it's our commitment to the Word of God.
It is, right. And Jesus said, he who does not believe that I am will die in his sins. So if you do not believe that Jesus is God the Son, you're committed to an eternal hell. And that's why it's important. That's why when people call in to this show, I like to call in from North Carolina and try to give some comments and interact with them because it'll send you to hell. That is an issue that we cannot disagree on. Some of these issues of eschatology, Jesus did not say that you got to believe he's going to return, because if you don't, then you fall into full preterism and commit you essentially end up denying the gospel, because you commit the same heresy that was it Hymenaeus and Philetus who said the resurrection has already taken place.
Exactly. You're listening to The Narrow Mind, and I have in studio this evening my guest, Dustin Segers. If you'd like to call us up and discuss any of these issues or any other issues with us, please feel free to do so. Our toll-free number is 800-466-1873. That is, once again, 800-466-1873. And I was mentioning at the beginning of the program that our website got hacked today, and as a result, we lost some data. Is it data or data?
You can say it any way you want to, because this is your studio.
Okay. Data? No, I think I like data better.
You like data?
Yeah. We lost some data. And I already noticed that some of the people were posting in the forums, they were wanting to know what happened to some of the posts. Well, that's the answer. So a 12-year-old, as I mentioned earlier, we've pretty much narrowed it down. A 12-year-old that goes by the screen name of 286 has... first of all, he had to hack into his mother's password so that he could log on as her user. And then after he did that, he proceeded to ditch second period through sixth period, come home while his mother was at work.
It's probably Billy Jakowski.
He's probably in the library at Granada Hills High School.
Am I on?
Yeah, no, that's Tad.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
same thing.
Yeah. So
they both believe in free will, right?
Yeah, they both believe in free will. Basically, we got hacked, and they took some of our data in our forums and some other data. And I guess they're going to print it out and use it for a homework assignment in 7th period or something. I don't know.
The silliness from the high priest of atheism.
Yeah. Last time it was Muslims, but this time it was just an angry
now it's Billy
young
Jakowski.
man. Yeah. So 286, if you're out there listening, try it again and see what happens.
Give us a call.
Yeah. We've basically got your IP address, and we're going to send a stink bomb to your house. So
stink bomb.
So I bought it off the ice cream truck.
Okay.
Out here in California, they sell a stink bomb for 75 cents. It smells like rotten eggs.
Is that like the 91?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So be sure and tell
you.
your mother, young man, that if a package comes from Unchained Radio, don't open it. It's for you.
It's a stink bomb.
It's for you. I want to make sure. In fact, if you get it and you open it up and it goes off, give me a call back so we can just kind of have a good laugh about it, okay? But if I find out your phone number, I'm definitely going to call your mother. So knock it off. You've been warned.
That's right, little boy. Don't be trying to call in this show. We'll send a stink bomb to your home.
And any other hackers out there that are currently trying to hack into our website, be warned. I've got more stink bombs.
Stink bomb is your way.
That's right.
Yeah. That's bad news.
What were we talking about?
Something pretty important. Prejudicial conjecture.
Prejudicial conjecture. Which is exactly what every unbelieving human being is guilty of.
Mm-hmm. Including some Christians.
We talked
about that a little bit.
Yeah. It was kind of funny. I got to, Paul Manata, right? He got married this last weekend.
Yes, he did.
He got married this last weekend, and I went to the wedding rehearsal, and it's customary after the wedding rehearsal to take the wedding party out to dinner, and so we went out to dinner with him, and he's got his the bridesmaids are there, and then the best man, and what's the guy on the groom's side of it, the men that are participating in the groom side of it, what are they called?
I don't know. I just showed up.
Okay. So anyways, He's got his best man and the other guys that are there escorting the women at the end and at the beginning.
My boys.
Yeah, the boys. And so he's passing out the gifts. He bought each of them a gift. And he's setting up this joke, right? He's got this friend that's Baptist. And for those who don't know, Paul Manata is a Paedo-Baptist.
Now, we need to make sure that we let everyone know who's listening that he is your second favorite living.
That's right.
Paedo-Baptist.
He is my second favorite living. Paul Vigiano, another Paul, would be my first.
Another guy
named Paul,
with an apologetic knack.
You've heard him?
Yes.
Where'd you hear him at?
On your show, brother.
Okay. Yeah, he's sharp.
Yeah.
Real sharp. Okay, so back to the story. So Paul's there, he's giving out his gifts, and he's setting up this story, and he's prefacing it by setting up this joke. He's prefacing it by saying that, I was trying to get you a gift, and I knew you were a Baptist, and I thought, okay, here we go. So he says, I wanted to buy you a good book on Paedo-Baptism. And then I blurted out, but there wasn't any. Everybody started laughing, and it killed his joke. Because after he gained composure, and after everybody else gained composure, he says, but I figured you already had a Bible.
That's a good one, Paul.
Yeah. So
that's great.
Basically, in God's providence, that joke was just shut down.
Yeah. Well, I called him a couple weeks ago, and we were talking about him getting married. And we got on the subject of dispensationalism. He said, yeah. I said, yeah, Gene's on a kick on dispensationalism. He said, really? He said, I thought you guys already were dispensationalists. I said, that's real funny. See, for those of you that aren't aware, our Presbyterian brothers like to call their Baptistic, Calvinistic, Reformed brothers closet dispensationalists because we see a little bit greater disunity between the covenants, the old covenant and the new covenant.
Well, you can hardly call it greater disunity. Maybe 1 point of disunity.
Yeah.
Out of what, 50?
Yep.
So we've got 51. So I'm standing there at the reception after the wedding, and there's this guy. He's obviously not a Christian, right? Because you can just tell, right? He's had a couple drinks. And Paul's going around, shaking everybody's hand. And I'm standing within earshot, and this guy is kind of obnoxious. He's already being obnoxious, hugging on girls and everything. And the guy's like 65 years old, And you can just tell he's a real,
a real ladies' man.
Real outgoing personality.
Yeah.
Right. So he says to Paul walks up and he says to Paul, "Is she high maintenance?" And Paul says, "No, I don't think so." And he says, "All women are high maintenance." And then Paul says, "Well, she belongs to the class of women, so if all women are high maintenance, I guess she's high maintenance too." And he turned and walked away. And I was just busting up, and I said, "Who is that guy?" He goes, "I don't even know who that guy is."
He just showed up, huh?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, maybe
somebody with a friend of the family.
Yeah, who knows? But
yeah,
I thought that Paul the philosopher, he basically turned the guy's comment into a philosophical syllogism.
Yeah, he did.
A logical syllogism.
He did.
Made him look stupid. Like, so why are you asking me if all women are high maintenance? If she's high maintenance. So
little internal critique there.
But here's the thing: we're not supposed to use logic as Christians.
Yeah.
Because we have faith. See, Christianity is all about faith. It's not about logic.
Oops.
Christianity is not the thinking man's religion. Right?
That's
what they say.
That's number 2. That's the unargued philosophical bias.
That is, what did you call it? A delusional conjecture?
Yes.
No, a
prejudicial.
Prejudicial conjecture.
Yeah.
So, but
that's a philosophical pre-commitment that people have.
That would be a presupposition.
Yeah.
So if you're one of those unbelievers that thinks that Christianity is not the thinking man's religion, we'd like to think about your comments.
Give us a call.
Give us a call and tell us why. What's the beef? And we'll talk about it. Our phone number, 800-466-1873. You know what? I haven't had dinner yet because I was fiddling around with this with this microphone.
You were trying to get it ready for me, weren't you?
I was trying to get it ready for you, and then my microphone wasn't working.
You're a good man.
And I'm starving. So if we don't get a call within 5 minutes, we're going to have to
You're taking me out to eat.
You hungry? I'm taking it.
Are you hungry?
We're going to Outback Steakhouse.
Oh, man.
You have Outback Steakhouse back there?
No, we don't have that.
See?
I tell you, we got to pump in daylight.
You have to pump in daylight?
Yes.
How could you?
Here it comes. There it is.
How could you live in a place like that where the population is 62,000? And
only 50 of them are saved. That's a joke for all those that are in our church.
I heard there's a lot of like racism in North Carolina.
Mm-hmm.
I heard there's a lot of like Aryans. Have you heard that?
Did you say that because my head's shaved?
No, I'm not saying that because you look like a skinhead. I'm being serious.
That was a slip. I'm not going to call it Freudian, but it was a slip.
No, I really heard that there's somebody got invited to a party, and it was all skinheads, and it was in North Carolina. They were all college students.
Right.
So what's up with that? Have you run into these people?
Yeah, I did therapy on a guy. For those that are listening.
Therapy.
Therapy. I do physical therapy.
Okay,
full time.
I was going to say, you call your pastoral counseling therapy? That's interesting.
So much for the nouthetic model. No, but I do physical therapy and also a pastor. But I had a guy, he was with what's called the Christian Identity Movement, which is basically a white supremacist group, kind of the Timothy McVeigh, Eric Rudolph junk, and there's a lot of that. I've never actually encountered a skinhead. Actually, that's not true. I did encounter one in college, but I was not a Christian at the time. But
interesting.
Yeah, they're hardcore, man. They all
live in Hemet out here.
In Hemet?
Hemet, yeah.
What is Hemet?
If you're a skinhead, you definitely want to go to Hemet. What is Hemet?
You got to explain it.
Hemet is a community, a city about 75 miles northeast of San Diego, where
is it like a commune or something?
No. It's an actual city, but a lot of trailer parks.
Oh, okay.
A lot of crystal meth.
Yeah.
A lot of white guys in their early 20s riding around on BMX bikes with no T-shirt on.
Okay.
So
that's
a lot
cool.
of skinheads out there.
Well, you know that David Koresh's compound was a crystal meth lab. That's why that thing went up so quick.
Did they really find that out?
I had a guy did therapy on a fellow that went in the basement of that thing, and he said that the whole bottom of that compound was nothing but a huge crystal meth lab. That's how they kept that place funded. And he said that Koresh was a brilliant man, and he would just walk around quoting scripture from the King James Version, walking around quoting scripture, and he hired chemists to make that stuff. I mean, it was professionally made crystal meth in this cult that he had. Crazy stuff.
Were they doing it, or was he just selling it?
I don't know. He didn't really get, because he was doing this. The guy that I treated had actually been in prison for doing drugs, and came out, and he was saved in prison, and we had a great time together.
I thought we had a caller. They were just complaining? They're calling for me?
Well, you get 2 for the price of 1.
2 for the price of 1.
Yeah.
I heard the phone ring. Oh, it was Marty calling back.
Uh-oh.
What's that? Oh, auto racing, not racing. He said that the North Carolina people are into auto racing, not racism.
Yes. Auto racing.
NASCAR.
Man. Whew. I mean, you want to get some people fired up. Woo-hoo! Man, NASCAR will do it. I'm not into it.
I'm not into it either.
I just, I appreciate it.
I get enough NASCAR out here on the California freeways.
Yeah. I got enough of it today.
Yeah, they do drive crazy out here. The sign says 65, but actually it's about 80.
Yeah, 80.
And they'll come right up on your bumper. I'm glad I don't have to
it's crazy.
Fight it.
It's crazy.
Well, we're gonna have you ever been to Outback Steakhouse?
Yes. We have.
You say that as if you are some type of cultured North Carolinian.
I am. We live in the great metroplex of Greensboro, brother.
Oh. So, have you ever had a bloomin' onion?
It's got a population of about 15.
Have you ever had a bloomin' onion?
Never had a bloomin' onion.
You're going to have a bloomin' onion tonight.
Okay.
Because I want a bloomin' onion. Well, folks, this has been another edition of The Narrow Mind. And, we were scrambling around at the last minute. We had some technical difficulties getting started tonight. We apologize for that. Remind me not to turn buttons off on the back of the soundboard. And I'm planning on doing some more shows on dispensationalism. So, Lord willing, next week on Tuesday night, we'll focus on dispensationalism. Now, some of you may be wondering why we haven't been having the Atheist Hour. Well, we've run out of atheists. Simply put, in the beginning, they were volunteering right and left,
right,
and now business has slowed down.
Well, I think
I'm not sure why.
The answer that's been given that I've heard is that, well, it's just boring. It's the same argument. They use the tag. Well, if it's so easy, man, have fun with it. Call in.
If anybody should be bored, it should be ours. It should be our side. Because the atheists
wake up.
They're using
going to sleep back there.
The atheists that I've had on, they seem to use the same arguments. Yeah. They can't define objective morality. They don't know where logic comes from. when you press them on it, bestiality is just like closing a car door on your finger.
Yeah. Or it's okay to have sex with a dog.
Yeah, I mean,
kind of thing.
These are the things that the atheists were saying when we pressed them. So I can understand.
Why should we? How about Dawkins with Dawkins' article with saying why should we punish a faulty human being when we don't punish a faulty car? We don't kick a car. We don't punish a car.
Yeah. So if we get some more atheists stepping up, then we'll continue the Atheist Hour. But I think they know where to find me by now. Just send us an email at tagurit. That's TAGURIT@gmail.com, and I'd be more than happy to entertain you as a guest on the Atheist Hour. But next week at 6 o'clock, we'll be going back to our study of dispensationalism. We'll be looking at some of the other tenets of dispensationalism. We'll be discussing just a little bit more Israel and the church, and then we're going to move on to some of the major themes, such as the pre-trib rapture. Is there such a thing as a secret rapture? And if it's secret, how would you know?
The Lord shall descend from heaven with a shout.
With a silencer on it.
Yeah.
With a trumpet with a silencer.
For all the unbelievers.
One of those mufflers, like you see in the...
Yeah. In the big army band that goes
exactly.
On. Yeah.
So next week, 6 o'clock, Lord willing, we'll be back to discuss dispensationalism, as I will be fresh off my Shepherd's Conference, which is hosted by a dispensational church. So there you go. Until next week, may the Lord bless the study of His Word. Dustin, thanks for being with us.
God bless.